The People's Countryside Environmental Debate Podcast.
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 I see some of the UK royal family are pushing forward anti-homelessness and anti-domestic abuse projects. Should they abstain from such things, or should they use their status in these ways? 1 in 10, if not more, of 4-year-olds in the UK are considered obese. Yet when parents are advised how to help their children lose weight, they often close their ears. Is that because as a nation we're not emotionally mature enough to take this feedback on board?
This is the People's Countryside Environmental Debate Podcast with
William Mankler, and I'm very scared in this episode because there's a particular listener coming back with a question.
Again. She never goes. It's Debs, but that's she's got the second question.
She has got the second question.
I'm Stuart the Wild Man Mabbott, and we try and we don't necessarily have debates. We have conversations. The questions are set by you, the listeners. We try and bring them back to the environment in some way, but sometimes they're very detached from it. We've got 2 questions today. One from Bartek in Abingdon, Oxfordshire, England.
Yes.
And Debs from Didcot, Oxfordshire, England. So both locals.
Exactly. And both these are returning question listeners sending questions. I'm just recalling the people that used to send in a lot of questions. Do you remember Pedro?
Pedro. I said Pedro.
From Portugal, right?
Roman
from Slovakia. Rory from Darwin in Northern Australia. And who was the lady? Vandana, that's
India.
It. Yeah, I knew it started with a V. I couldn't recall it, but Vandana from India. And Vandana, are you still listening? And please send us a question in because we're concerned about your welfare.
Yeah. Okay,
two questions.
Bartek's question.
Do you want to go for that?
No, it's too long.
Far too long. You just go for the 3-4 word questions, don't you? I was going to say 4-letter questions. That's a very different thing. Anyway, so Bartek's question is: I have not asked any questions since 2020. I don't think. That scans, doesn't it? But always listen whilst I work. I see some of the UK royal family are pushing forward anti-homelessness and anti-domestic abuse projects. Should they abstain from such things, or should they use their status in these ways? I think it's a good idea that that people do listen to the royal family. I personally don't, but I think it's if they can phrase it, I think they should.
I think the undercurrent here is. I get the feeling Bartek is an anti-monarchist, because should they be? Should they? It could be saying should they exist and should they be even sticking their nose in? But then but they do have a status in our society, so I think if we do have to have them, they should be doing something for good. But, I think they do more damage than they do good. You got the Crown estate. It owns the seabed around Cornwall. And you have to pay I think fishermen have to pay a licence or something to do that. They own land that the NHS uses car parks. And they lease the land to the NHS. Don't you think you could wait? They say, it's expensive to run the Crown. Yeah, I think you could cut your cloth accordingly. They're screwing us in every orifice.
Yeah, I'm not would I call myself an anti-monarchist? I'm ambivalent at best.
Yeah.
There's a great book by Sue Townsend about she posits the idea that the monarchy get actually sent to a council house. It's very interesting. You should read it. I can't remember the title, but just go and check it out. But yeah, I think
to go to the question, which we are drifting away from.
We are. We often do that, though.
Should they? I think they should be. I think they should because down in Cornwall, King Charles has developed a new estate, a new model of living. Well, okay, that's great. It shows how it could be done, but there is always this nasty taste of should the monarchy even exist? But yeah, I don't think they should be precluded from doing it. It's all the other stuff.
But if you put aside the feelings of whether monarchy should or shouldn't exist, they do exist.
Yeah, everybody should be going out there doing this, not just them.
Exactly. Yeah. However, if people will listen to them, people will maybe act on it as well. Yeah. On what they're talking about. So for that reason, I think why not? It's up to them as well. They are another family. I've always seen the royal family as just another family. It's my thinking.
Genetically, they're half German, half horse. It's an interesting mix.
Genetically, they're like mixed right across Europe. I mean, the family is. Yeah, if you look at their family tree is quite niche, isn't it?
The money we pay them to do their yearly work, I wouldn't pay for winged Pegasus, So why would I pay a bunch of log-faced horses to do what they do? They say, it brings in tourism. The tourists would come whether they're there or not, because a lot of the tourists come with 500-year-old history.
Exactly, yeah. Well, you
don't see them anymore.
Why do people go to Rome, for example, as a good example as well? But this is taking it into anti-monarchy territory.
Yeah, I know. But the question, it does allude to that. Should they be? It's almost like saying, should they be sticking their nose in there?
The question particularly asks, should they abstain from such things, or should they use their status in these ways? It's entirely up to them what they do.
Yeah,
they're entitled to do what they want to do, as long as they're not pushing a hate thing, are they? I think what you kind of have been alluding to during this question, Stuart, is that it's like there is a little bit of contradiction here, especially if you think about homelessness, all that land that they own and all the money that they get from everything, all the income they get, that they could actually probably help eradicate homelessness
in other ways,
rather than just talking about it,
Yeah.
There
was something about abuse as well, domestic abuse. I think that's William, isn't it? He's set up some sort of charity about domestic abuse.
I suppose the other question is just how effective they are and how dedicated they are to these causes.
Yeah.
Are they just doing it because that's what they feel they should do rather than that's what they want to do?
I think there's a PhD thesis in there.
Got a close friend who works for a domestic abuse organisation, and they you can really feel when they talk about it, you can feel their angst and their anger about the situation of particularly women, violence against women perpetuated by men. So you can really feel it, and that means something to them. Whereas how much does it mean to somebody who is pretty much an untouchable millionaire?
Is your hand shaking, William? Are you getting nervous? Can I see in your peripheral vision? You'll see Debs' name in there.
Yeah, well, I've been practicing some mindfulness meditation over the last 6 months, so I feel a little bit more settled. But my heart rate has gone up a little bit.
Debs, he's shit scared of you. I don't know why.
I don't know. I've never met you, and it's not even the questions you send in. Maybe it's because you're from Didcot.
Yeah. So, what's her question? Thanks, Bartek, for coming back, asking another question. Hopefully, we had a go at it. There's no definitive answer, but I think we all should be getting involved in this.
We try never to really come up with a definitive answer, anyway.
Debs' question.
Not just say, well, a lot of the answers come through just our conversation and how it processes in your own mind as you're listening
at the time.
to it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, Debs, please, I'm scared of you. Debs' question is: 1 in 10, if not more, of 4-year-olds in the UK are considered obese. Yet, when parents are advised how to help their children lose weight, they often close their ears. Is that because as a nation we're not emotionally mature enough to take this feedback on board? I think people don't like to be told how they're necessarily how they're doing things wrong in their life. They want to be encouraged. I'm sure there's a way around. There's got to be ways around working on this issue.
Always reminds me of a statement I heard up in Manchester. Some kids were running feral, and the parents said, parents were criticised and said, "We're not bad parents. You know, we grew up like this and we're all right. Yeah, but you're producing kids that are doing the same thing.
You see that wheel in motion, don't you?
Yeah. And so what's the question now? I'm having a problem with my computer at the moment and I can't resolve it.
Do you want me to read the question out again?
Yeah, I've still got to bring it up on my screen though. Yeah, go on.
1 in 10, if not more, of 4-year-olds in the UK are considered obese. So let's just go for that stat. I think maybe some of that reason is because it's very easy now to buy highly processed sugary food. We're not to the lengths of America yet, but it's very easy just to reach out and that's the cheap food. You know?
It's an indication of the lifestyle, the processes we live by.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
So I don't think it's all down to telling parents how to feed their children, how to give them exercise. I think it's a significant, but not even 50% of the challenge. It's just looking at the whole way we live.
Yeah, and I would say now you have to remember that the children of today will be the parents of tomorrow, so that it's really got to be something that is in the educational system about talking about nutrition and eating healthily and encouraging that, you know, and not just going for the easy quick wins of the fast foods and the high sugar content. You know, a lot is made of like, for example, a lot more should be made of how much sugar is in cereals, for example, in breakfast cereals, and that's not great, is it? You know, that encourages you to be almost like addicted to sugar in some respects. But I think when it comes to go to the end of this question is that because as a nation we're not emotionally mature enough to take this feedback on board? Maybe.
I don't think we're emotionally mature regardless.
Yeah, I think that's just not a nation.
Majority of people are emotionally weak.
Yeah, and also, you know, I was again having a conversation with a good friend recently, and as I said, you know, it's very. How would you feel if you got if somebody came up to you and said you're not doing this right? You know, it can feel like an attack on you.
But it says parents are advised how to help their children lose weight. They often close their ears. It's because the way the system in that family is being challenged. It's not the kids. Oh, I'm not a good parent. It's just you're being challenged. Now, you have to look at why people are closing their ears, why people are living the way they are, and trying to find a way of getting the message across in a whole different way that they will take on board. But be aware that people aren't daft. If you tell people what to do, they dig their heels in. But if you can still contrive other ways of getting people to do these things, but they're still suspicious. They know you're trying to get them to change and they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Somehow you need to make it feel that it's people are making their own decisions.
Yeah.
And they've got other just as easy options to reach for as a crutch or whatever. But it's putting systems in place to allow people to make better decisions instead of giving instructions.
I would throw in this whole idea of good community as well. That actually often, you know, those that are perceived in a position of power. So that may be somebody who is a politician or somebody who is a teacher as a position of power. And then they feel that somebody can feel like they're condescended to. If it's somebody in their own group, in their own community talking about it, it's a very different thing and it's more powerful. So actually, you know, encouraging the growth of communities, you know, that's really important. Right now, we're with the communities that are growing, the community that is growing around the Disabled Access CIC, for example, or the
Disabled Countryside Access CIC.
Disabled Countryside Access CIC, and the genuine Disabled Countryside Access Task Force as well. You know, that's a community that's growing around there, and it's helping, isn't it?
That we're building.
But it's helping. It's helping understand what the challenges are, and understanding that, you know, it gives a place of like, well, these people are the same as they have similar challenges to me. They're probably quite similar to me. They might not be exactly similar to me. They might come from different backgrounds, but they have similar challenges to me, and they talk my language, or they talk in a non-condescending way. You know, like this is what we go. This is what I've gone through. This is what I've learnt. And you share it with the other person. Also,
mentoring and guiding people. That it isn't just about mentoring and guiding people, and nudge theory and all the rest of it. If you show an interest in somebody, and you make them feel that they're worth being mentored and guided, they start to put their own value on themselves.
Yeah, they value themselves.
So that is maybe some leverage, is to try and promote better ways of living, but in a way that instigates people feeling better about themselves. I don't know. There's a multi-disciplinary approach here, and multi ways of looking at it, but there's no definitive answer. These are tough questions. These should be tough questions. We've got ourselves where we are because we've taken the easiest option.
Yeah, and I think that's what it comes down to, is the easiest option.